Yes. Okay, can you hear me? All right, great. All right, well, thank you so much for inviting me here to speak with y'all. I really love social media, and it's definitely helped me both personally and professionally. So I look forward to kind of sharing kind of some insights, and I hope you find some useful tidbits as you venture more into social media. So I thought I'd start with a cat photo. Let's be honest, if you learned nothing else today, posting lots of cat photos is really great for your social media profile. I mean, it's amazing how much interest you get from a cat photo. I've posted really serious topics about like world issues and the state of the journalism industry. But somehow when I post photos of my cat, I get like 1 million likes on Facebook and lots of loves on Instagram. So yeah, cat photos rule. So now that you've invited me here, and I get why you invited me here, I guess I know a little bit about social media, and I guess you can argue I have some expertise. But I'm going to be really honest with you right now. I'm not a guru, and you should be suspicious of anybody that calls themselves a guru. And the reason for that is that social media is social. And I find that the best social media practices I've gained isn't because I'm some expert or genius at the practice. It's because I learn from other people. So going back to the first slide, it says everything I learned about social media, ... Everything I learned about social media, I learned from somebody else. I know that might be counterintuitive to the reason you invited me here, but stick with me and I promise you'll get what I'm saying. So what I wanted to do today is talk about some great social media folks, people that I've learned some valuable lessons from, and I hope that you'll get some insight in terms of why I admire these folks in the social media sphere. And maybe you can see, I know some of you probably follow me on Facebook for Shop Talk or follow me on Twitter. You probably can see some of those practices I've gained from these other folks in my own social media practice. So with further ado, I'm going to start with the first person. So the first person I wanted to talk about was Monica Guzman. She's a tech columnist at the Seattle Times and for GeekWire, which is this technology news site. Anyway, so she is great. You can see this quote here. She's very well regarded in technology and social media. And the reason for that is, social media is really hot and trendy now, but she really embraced social media before people really thought of it as social media. So before she became a columnist for these two publications, she was at the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. And it was kind of interesting, her job, because she wasn't necessarily a reporter. She was kind of this community facilitator. And she really used social media as the means to facilitate that conversation. And so one of the things she did at the Seattle PI was start a blog called The Big Blog. And it was kind of this blog on Seattle news, trends, and whatnot. And the thing about the blog is that she was really good at listening. You guys probably talk about, listening and how important it is to listen and to engage with others. It's the same thing on social media, and this is something she's really great at, and this is something she advocates when she talks about social media. So when she does the blog, she often kind of watches for comments. She'll watch for what people are saying in the comments or what people say about her work. And she takes the good with the bad, and she kind of conversates with those folks. And so I wanted to show an example of this. So one of the columns she wrote recently for the Seattle Times was about cutting the cord. Are you guys familiar with that concept? Okay, for those of you who aren't, cutting the cord is in reference to cutting cable in lieu of using streaming video services like Hulu, Netflix. There's a number of specialty sites. And so she wrote the column about how she doesn't have cable because she has Netflix and Hulu, and her and her husband are perfectly happy with those services. But then she listened in the comments, and she knows somebody made this point saying, well, that's great and all, but I watch sports, and you have to have cable to watch sports. So she kind of got this conversation rolling, and so you can see on the right, she actually put it out there. She's like, well, what do you guys think about this? Like, can you watch sports and not have cable? And you can see I actually commented on that one. So, and from that, she used those comments to write another column about how it is difficult, if you're a sports fan, to cut the cord. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that she used the comments from readers and her network to generate conversation and engagement, because clearly the readers are going to be grateful that that she listened to them and listened to their comments. So that's one. So I think what I learned from Monica is the importance of engagement and using social media to build that engagement. And as you enter into social media, whether you use it to promote your company or to promote your brand or just personally, listen to what people have to say. Not every comment. I know at the Yakima Herald, sometimes the comments on our website are a bit but not everyone has comments. Like, some people have useful things to say. And I find with Shop Talk, a lot of the columns that I write about are generated from discussions I have on Facebook. So what I learned from Monica is the importance of engagement, the importance of listening to what people say, and the value of that back and forth on social media. So that's Monica. So let's go on to number 2. So I have a little bit of an interest in figure skating. Any of you watch figure skating? Okay, so I love figure skating, and I'm not talking like every 4 years I watch it on the Olympics. I watch it like I subscribe to Ice Network. That's how interested I am in figure skating. Yeah. So I wanted to introduce the next people. So this is Mai and Alex Shibutani, and they are Olympic hopefuls in ice dancing. They're brother and sister, ages 19 and 22. And they are world bronze medalists, and they're also been medalists at the national level 3 years in a row. So very elite ice dancers. But the other thing you should know about these guys is they are the most savviest on social media. And a year ago, they started a YouTube channel. And it kind of started out as, let's lip sync various songs and make music videos out of them. But they gained so much popularity that they started making more and more videos. And oftentimes, these videos are fun because they shoot them from competitions or various sporting events. So, for example, they got to tour in Japan. Figure skating is very popular in Japan. And so they got to do a tour of Japan through the show called The Ice with other professional figure skaters. And they made several videos from that competition. So it was really cool to see, because we see them like competing and we see them working hard, but these videos just really show another side of them. So I thought I'd show a quick video. So let me...
Websites on the previous slide, their email addresses are different?
Oh, those are their Twitter handles. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, those are their Twitter handles. So this is one of their videos. Can you guys hear it? You guys need to... So that's one of their videos while they were on the ice tour, and the people that were in that video were fellow international ice skaters. So they were skaters from Japan, Russia, Canada, and so it's just really fun to see like another side of them, right? Because when you watch them in sports, there's figure skating, right? So it's nice to see them, kind of have fun and kind of, and I think one thing they talked about that was valuable for them is that these are memories for them. This is a way to document their success in figure skating and the opportunities they've had as figure skaters. And so I think what you can learn from Maya and Alex is to show the other side of your personality. I think the best corporate brands on social media I find are the ones that have fun and they show their personality and they're not afraid to kind of shake things up a little bit. So I think that's one thing I've really learned from these guys. And for me, I try to kind of show a little more of my personality. I don't try to just be like serious journalist, So they have great YouTube videos. Oh, sorry. They have great videos, and you should definitely check them out. I have some links at the end, so don't worry about recording the website. So we mentioned earlier about Srivasan. I have trouble too pronouncing it. He used to be at Columbia University before he was at the Met, and it was a great event. It was like 3 hours of social media learning. Like, just imagine sitting in that room for 3 hours learning about social media. It's quite the experience. And so, one of my favorite quotes from his presentation was, "The 30 secret of social media, almost everyone will miss almost everything you do on social media." I know, it sounds kind of like a bummer, but his point was that you need to have compelling content, because since people will miss almost everything, you might as well make the most of what they don't miss. So the thing I learned from Sri is how to collect everything. He had it kind of ABC, so always collect everything. And so one of the things I collected in social media is how he strokes my ego. So this is an article he wrote on CNET, and that's my photo. How awesome is that? So this is a photo I took at the presentation that he did at the University of Washington, and I was like, cool, my photo is on a website. Yay! So that was really cool. Like a lot of people read his work on CNET, so that was pretty awesome. And then to further stroke my ego, that's my Twitter profile. Yay! So it was really cool because this was at the Asian American Journalists Association convention in New York, and a couple people tweeted at me like, "Hey, like your profile is in this presentation. Cool." So the thing I learned from Sri is he doesn't necessarily produce a lot of original content. Like he does a lot of stuff on social media, but a lot of the value he gives to his networks isn't so much what he writes, but what he shares. It's kind of like the modern day stamp collection. He collects a lot of valuable tidbits of pieces of like an article or a photo he took, and he shares it, and he kind of curates it so it has some value to the reader. So this is kind of the social media collection. So for example, he posted a photo of this Google doodle. Google does these different doodles, and Gandhi's birthday. He had a cool tweet about, if you're looking for women board members, here's some ideas on getting them. He was out and about in New York City and kind of I wonder how New York NYC City Bike is affecting more traditional bicycle rental operations. So it's a lot about looking at the world around you and kind of distilling it and then kind of sharing it out. I think that's his value. So as you're promoting your brand or you're promoting yourself, think about what your networks want. It's nice if you write your own articles, but a lot of it is sharing that content, sharing that like, hey, I saw this really cool thing today, or hey, I read this really great article. So if you follow me on Shop Talk, for example, you notice that, yeah, I post a lot of my own columns and my own work, but I also really enjoy sharing what I read. Like I share a lot of, interesting business article or I think one popular article I was trying to think what. There's a couple, and now that they've totally disappeared from my mind, but there have been articles I shared that have gotten as many views as an article I wrote myself. And that kind of shows that people see you as a resource, as a resource for whatever topic of expertise you offer. So that's what I learned from Sri, is to look around the world, collect everything, you never know when it's useful, and then when it's appropriate, share it. So the next person I want to talk about is Craig Canale. He is the social media manager for the Buffalo Sabres. It's an NHL hockey team. But before he worked for the sports team, he actually was the social media editor at the Huffington Post. So pretty high profile guy. And he's been pretty high profile in the social media world since he was in graduate school. While he was at graduate school in DePaul University in Chicago, he started this website called Breaking Tweets, which was this website that curated different tweets from around the world to give context of breaking news or world events. And it got a lot of attention because here's somebody that, who is still in school, but was a resource for world news. And so he even admitted that his goal wasn't to break the news. I mean, there's media outlets that are fighting over this. And you hear a lot about how media outlets get it wrong and, trying to be first. That wasn't his goal. His goal was to be a resource for people who wanted to learn more about different world events. So it actually got a ton of attention, and it probably helped him get his first job, out of school. But for me, what I value about Craig isn't his social media expertise, although that's very useful. What I value about him is his sincerity. He's probably one of the most down-to-earth people I know in social media. You'd think working for Huffington Post or NBC News that you'd kind of get a big head, but he is really open, and he's very open, and he's willing to kind of show a lot of himself. So sometimes he'll just post on his Facebook profile, just a quote that he saw, God is placing great opportunities in your life, pause and appreciate them. He's a very strong Catholic, so he talks a lot about his faith on Twitter and Facebook, which is something is difficult for me to do. Like, I'm so used to being not having opinions or anything like that. So it really stands out when someone like Craig is so open about, his view on the world, what he believes, what he values. And so I'm not saying I've arrived in that standpoint, but I definitely strive to be more open and more sincere to my audience. And here's a really great example of this. So a couple months ago, I guess about a year ago actually, he wrote this post on Facebook about how frustrated he was with the dating scene in New York. That's pretty open. And he talks about how, what he tried to do and what didn't work. And he's just really tired of not getting dates and not meeting the people he wants to meet. And so he put it out there. He's like, what should I do? And so he got, as you can see, he got 500 comments. And you can read some of the comments here. I think my favorite one was the one about grocery shopping. Go grocery shopping between 4 p.m. and 7. You'll meet girls there. Or, go to yoga class. There are all sorts of crazy suggestions. And he opened himself up for criticism. So a talk show host actually saw his tweet. He was one of those macho talk show host types. And he posted it on Twitter, and he's like, this guy's excuse my language, this guy's a pussy. You should tell him on his Facebook how much of a pussy he is. And so all his fans flooded his Facebook and said, you need to man up. You're not a man. That's why you're not getting any dates, because you're not a man. And I know that would be really, for me, I would totally shut down. And I totally be like, I'm never doing this again. But in this interview he did an interview with Jim Romanesco, who's kind of a big media blogger. And Jim asked him, okay, did you hesitate about posting this? And as you can see here, he said, I had to take a deep breath before I hit post, but I did not have much hesitation. I don't mind just putting myself out there, and I've seen the internet is a great place to hear different perspectives on just about any topic if you do so. Makes you think. So he was willing to take the bad with the good. And as a result, he got a lot of valuable feedback about dating. So I think the thing you can learn from Craig, I'm not saying you should like reveal all your problems on the internet. Like, not everyone is as open as Craig is. But I think there's something to be said about sincerity and how people will connect with you if you're willing to be open and sincere about your intentions. And so be honest with your customers or be honest with your networks if you're having a frustrating day. I find that if you're honest and you're seeking something, they'll give you advice or they'll sympathize with you. So that's what I learned from Craig. And a little bit of nepotism. This is my husband, and he's my fifth person. And I didn't intend to put him on this presentation, but it was funny when I was working on this presentation and we were eating dinner, my husband's like, so what are you doing your presentation on? And I said, I'm going to talk about the people in social media I learned from. And he's like, oh, well, that's probably not me. And I was like, well, not quite correct. Now, he probably will be the first person to say, well, I'm not really that social media savvy. He'd probably say that I'm definitely more social media savvy than he is. However, he does have some good points and lessons to learn. And what I've learned from him is the value of documenting everyday experiences and sharing that with the public. So with that, let me...
Hi, everybody. I don't normally do product tests, but this I thought you'd find interesting. This is the Kohler Moxie, which is, I believe, the first shower head on the market that has a Bluetooth speaker in it. So I've unboxed it and charged it, got it configured already. So it's basically an unboxing. I don't do unboxing videos usually, they're usually kind of trite. So we're going to flip it open, and you'll notice that there is the speaker.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna turn this off. So that's a little clip from that video. I know we're running a little low on time here. And he actually got a lot of comments. He got 1,700 views on YouTube. It's not a whole lot, but for someone that isn't intending to, he's not a celebrity. He's just, a guy sharing his experience with a showerhead. He actually got quite a few comments, and people really responded to it. There's actually a point where the cat kind of comes in the middle of the video, and a lot of people responded to the cat. So had thumbs up for the cat. What did I tell you? Cats matter in social media. And so here's another, this is a TripAdvisor review he did on Jeju Sauna. It's a Korean style sauna. And anyway, and so I think the thing I learned from Jerome is to value the everyday experience. And I know a lot of restaurants talk about how, we should, be scared of these online reviews, but you can make a difference by being comprehensive. And the thing I like about Jerome's reviews is that they're very in-depth. He actually types them on a word processor before he pastes them online. So that's the thing. So personally, you can make a difference and have influence online too. You don't have to be a celebrity. You can just be influential in your everyday experiences. And so this is kind of a summary of some practical takeaway. Build community, listen to online conversation, be yourself, and show your personality. Experiment. These tools, they're kind of open-ended. You can try things out, and if it doesn't work, try something else. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And as we mentioned, collect. You never know when it may come in handy online. And most importantly, learn from others. So here's a link to kind of the social media resources. There's like some how-tos. I'm sure some of you want to know like how to tweet or how to use the program. I put a couple links online. So and also have a copy of this presentation as well on this document. And then please feel free to keep in touch. So this is my contact information, and I can put it back online later. And I also have business cards. So any questions? Yes.
What do you think about preserving your anonymity? I mean, that put his name out there. If I were to do that, I'd probably just put Susan or something like that.
Everyone has a different level of comfort regarding their their presence. I have a very high tolerance because I'm already in the public eye, so I don't really make a lot of fuss. But I can understand how if you're not, involved in like media or in other like more high profile industries, you might want to be more private. So it depends on, work within kind of your comfort. But I would definitely recommend maybe, I guess, going beyond that comfort level, because I think the value you get from social media, if you open yourself a little more, is well worth maybe maybe the privacy you would have to give up. So, yes.
I'm totally lost. But I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
I've never had a Facebook, so I don't know. I've never had that, but I've never done a twit or a blog. What's the difference between a twit, a blog, and an email?
Yeah.
So
I kind of struggled with deciding on this presentation because I didn't know if I wanted to give a how-to or give, again, something more general. And I think my goal today, and I'll answer your question real quickly, my goal today was to give you the philosophy, like why you should be on social media. As for the how-to, I think the key thing is, again, learning from other people, seeing how they use the tools. So Twitter and Facebook, for example, are any of you on Pinterest? Okay, I don't use Pinterest, and it doesn't mean that I don't think it's a valuable tool, but I haven't personally found value in using Pinterest. And so the thing is these tools are kind of open-ended, like they all offer different advantages. So something like Twitter is really good for like real-time conversation because it's like a stream of, little posts. But Facebook maybe is a little more valuable for like long range or more photo oriented. Tumblr is more known for, visuals. And so every platform has a different value, and it really depends on what you're trying to do. Either if you're trying to do as far as personally or as professionally, like I find that different tools have different roles. And I think in that document, there's some how-tos on how to use, like how to tweet and how to use Facebook. So hopefully you'll look at those, and those might be helpful for you.
How does a person, I'm thinking, you've got to spend hours in front of your lap. How do you have a social life if you're all wrapped up in social media?
That's a great question. I actually use a tool called Hootsuite, and there's a lot of different other tools. There's TweetDeck, Hootsuite, and there's actual tools where you can schedule tweets. So you can type up something and say, I want this posted at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And so there are actually tools out there that help you kind of manage your time. And, another thing I use on Twitter is Twitter List. So Twitter List includes different Twitter users in a certain category. So I mentioned figure skating. I actually follow a Twitter list of figure skaters. And so I only look at once a day, just look at their tweets, and I find some useful things. I laugh at some of their jokes and stuff. But so there's a lot of different ways you can mitigate or manage kind of the content and, the stream of information.
And probably just how much time you want to spend on it.
Yeah.
People get out of once a week or once a month, and others do it on a hourly.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You might want to explain what Twitter is like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. So Twitter is obviously very succinct because it's only 140 characters. And I actually found that I learned to write better because of Twitter, because I've had to learn to write in these like shorter sentences. So I find that even like my regular newspaper writing, I've learned to be a lot more succinct and a lot more brief because I've had to do it on Twitter. So there's some value in kind of using social media, in outside of that sphere. So. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and share with you, everybody.